Hey guys, welcome back to Crystals, Claws, and Coffee podcast. So you see someone new here, right? This is
and
our
champagne.
Yes, and champagne.
Champagne.
We traded the coffee for champagne.
So, yes, one night only. We are Crystals, Claws, and
Champagne. We kept it in the C family for sure.
Except mine is in a mug.
Yes. So we wanted to bring on Hannah. She's our really great friend here in Boston. We wanted to talk about her and just check in on friends. And that's what this is all about, is just checking in on friends, checking in on each other, and just seeing how we're all doing. Because sometimes we just need that.
Yeah, and definitely after the last couple of years we've had, like, in isolation and lockdown, like, some people haven't seen their friends in forever. So I think it's really important to kind of check in on your friends and make sure, we're all doing all right. So
It's hot out there. It can get hot out there.
It is. But thank you for being on the show.
So excited that you guys just announced your launch. Was it yesterday?
Yes.
So I know this is like timeline, a little bit of a lag, but such an exciting time.
Yes. So you are our first guest. The pressure is
Oh my
on.
God, guys, I made it on my TV, mama.
So we wanted to talk to Hannah about her journey, because Brenda, that we've been talking about different people's journeys and
Exactly.
and just like knowing and just wanting to follow along and making people feel less alone. So that was the purpose of why we started this.
Right.
And Hannah, how are you? Like, now we're in 2022.
Yeah.
How are you doing? I know things have changed drastically. You're back home.
Yep.
You're back in Boston.
Oh my gosh, look at us. All back in
All
Boston.
back in Boston.
Boston.
We're boomerangs.
Yeah, we are
That we-
boomerang
Yeah.
generation here.
Back in the Beantown.
Yeah.
Where were you before? Let us know.
Yeah,
were in a lot of
so
places.
I was home in
Transitioning.
Boston like 3 years right after college. I moved to Orlando for a year, so that was really cool. Then I was in DC for like 4.5 years, and then LA for like 4 days, and then I moved back to Boston. So yeah, that's where the heart is.
Yeah, so let's start with that.
The 4 days part.
Yeah, the 4 days
Everything
part.
else was,
You were there for a while.
an extended amount of time,
Yeah.
but then there seems to have, something kind of
Kinda
happened
switched for
in those
you.
4 days for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's literally that saying where it's like you have to listen to your body. It's a fight or flight response, and that was literally my journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in DC for a while, and I had been really throwing myself into my job, and didn't have a lot of free time or like time to focus on myself. And then I was gonna move to LA with a boyfriend at the time, and I just realized, like, honestly, I didn't realize that it was the wrong choice until I literally stepped foot into the apartment. So I
The
moved
LA
there.
apartment.
The LA apartment.
Oh, wow.
Like, literally, my mother came. I sold all my furniture. I found someone to sublet my apartment. Like, I was there. I was gone. I didn't have anywhere
You
else
were
to go.
committed.
I was committed. I get to LA on a Wednesday night. I literally stepped foot into the apartment, and my body just, like, shut down on me.
Wow. That's a strong response.
It is. It's like, it really is the perfect saying of, like, you really have to check in with yourself and listen to yourself. And I don't think I was moving so fast that I hadn't taken the time to do that. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that. But
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up. Like you said, you were throwing yourself into your job, and so you're working, but also at the same time trying to maintain this relationship with your boyfriend at the time and committing to that as well. So it's a lot of, like, commitment.
Yep. So yeah, Wednesday night, I moved my stuff in. I unpacked all my shit. My mom was there. By Sunday, unpacked my shit all over again. Was in the car. Literally, my mom was like, okay, whatever you want to do, we can stay. If you want to leave, we can leave. And I just knew that it was not my time and it was not my place.
Wow.
Even though, like, I would love to live in LA sometime.
Yeah,
I
right.
would definitely visit you. But I just knew it wasn't for me at that time and place. And, drove cross country from LA to Boston, like,
wow.
I think in like 5 days. And
That's usually how long it takes.
Yeah.
And that was actually very therapeutic for me. I don't know if y'all have done like road trips before.
Yeah, I
You
did
did cross
trip.
country,
Yeah, I
right?
did cross country when I was moving from Boston to Tucson 5 years ago. Yeah, so I did that, and it was life changing for sure, because you just see
Gives you
different
time
things.
to-
Yeah, it gives you like perspective.
A lot of times of things.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I think there were a couple of things that I picked up on. I think it's so crazy how when you go through something like that, you remember the specific date.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was Wednesday night.
It was a Wednesday night. Like, it does not matter. Like,
cold, stormy Wednesday.
Yeah,
like,
not
you
in LA.
remember
It's a
everything.
nice balmy day.
yeah,
It was
you
really
remember
great.
everything. You remember, like,
Wow.
every moment. Like, that's just, like, that's what, like, stood out to
Surreal.
me. And another thing that stood out to me was your mom.
I love that your mom
Yeah.
was just like, whatever you
You
want
want
to
to
do.
do,
And
yeah,
she didn't
like-
try to sway you one way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe she probably had like mom's intuition.
Oh,
like,
she was definitely texting
This
Lisa
is not
like the
it.
entire time, like giving her the play-by-play, like, oh my God, where's she going now? Oh, she's going to talk with him. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
make her send her the
Oh my
location.
gosh,
Like,
your
yeah.
mom.
So Lisa is one of our friends and Hannah's best friend.
Yeah.
That you guys have known each other since you guys were little. Right?
yeah, since like high school.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Lisa at all during like the 4
Oh my God.
days?
Yeah, I
And check
did.
in and-
You know, honestly, I feel like it might have been. I think I had an edible. I think this was before I left, and that's when I realized I was like literally.
You're like, oh shit, I'm going through the
What the
motions.
fuck am I doing?
Edibles will do that to
I called my brother and he was like, it's okay. I think it's just the edibles. Like, see it through. And then when I actually got there, I realized like, no. This is not for you.
Yeah.
And then I had been texting with her, but I had been kind of going back and forth. And, you know, she's a therapist too. So I think she was really not trying not to steer me one way or another.
Yeah.
I think that's
That's great.
amazing when you have friends like that who are
Mhm.
not like trying to project their shit on you, you know?
Yeah.
And it was my dad. I think I called my dad and he was like, honey, cut your losses. It'll be fine.
I
It will
love
be
that.
fine. He was like,
Dads
"Well,
are bad.
yeah."
Dads are gonna give it to you straight.
literally, yeah, like he was like, don't worry about the lease. Like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Just come back to Boston. And Lisa had said, she was like, you need to be in a neutral space. You got to be with people that you love, your friends, and it will be fine.
Yeah. And it's like, it kind of like breaks your heart too, because you
Mhm.
have this like, you know, this dream of
Yeah.
wanting
new
to
life
go
now.
to another life, like
Yeah.
start a different chapter with this person that you were in a relationship with. And you're like, okay, like, you know, things are heading there. And then you get there and it's just the opposite of what you envisioned and what you thought would happen.
Yeah.
And it's like the
100%.
response
Reality
that you got.
hits.
Reality
Yeah.
hits.
And, but the question that I want to ask you, because I always wonder, like, did you have your doubts going
Leading up to that?
leading up to it? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we do, and we don't listen to ourselves until what happened to you when you walked into the front door. Did you have your doubts about going to LA? Like,
Oh, yeah.
and not even going to LA, but moving to LA with your ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
you know, like that's a whole different level of
Yeah.
commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. I feel like I said before, when you don't check in with yourself and you're not really going deep and trying to understand, you know, what are you really thinking? I think there are a couple moments where I was like, maybe this is not the right thing. And I think I noticed me not talking to people that I care about, like, because I knew I didn't talk to my dad about my doubts because I knew he would be like, then maybe this isn't right for you.
You didn't want to hear it.
I didn't want to hear it. So I was like ignoring it. And I just kind of like let inertia move me there until I realized like I really had to listen to my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened after?
Yeah.
Like,
you must have had to like
Oh my God.
change all your plans.
yeah. So like you
Yeah.
were
Planning
leaving
on
LA.
coming
Did you
back.
guys end the relationship right then and there?
Or
Or did you guys work on it? Like, cause it's
What
like,
happened to the boy?
yeah,
know,
what
right?
happened to the boy? There's
Honestly,
always a boy.
it's always a boy. There's always a boy. And honestly, the hardest thing was the logistics. Like the logistics of like, okay, like the lease and all my shit is in LA. I had a car that was there. I think in the moment I just needed that push. And so I talked to my dad, I got the push. I remember calling Lisa. I remember like crying like someone died. Like it was like that moment,
That's
you
a
know?
lot.
Yeah, someone did die, your old self.
Oh my god. Ooh.
Yeah. Cheers
Write
to that.
that down.
Cheers to that. And she was, you know, Lisa was there. She planned out like, okay, here's your route. Here's the first night.
she
literally-
your
Well,
itinerary.
wait, my first night, she was like, here's a place you can stay.
Just get out.
Go to the Grand Canyon, enjoy yourself, go with your
Oh, wow,
mom.
that's amazing.
It was great. So that road trip was literally, it was beautiful because it's
Yeah.
like all you have to do is drive.
Yeah.
Don't think about anything else. Just how do you feel? Like, get on the road. I was listening to a lot of like, sappy songs and singing and crying a little bit here and there.
That's therapy, okay.
I was sad as bit.
But it's all good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And by the time I got home, it was great with my mom too, because like I saw beautiful things. I went to
what a nice moment for you guys to bond.
Yeah, we went to Niagara Falls for the first time. We went to Colorado. I saw these ancient Puebloan town where they have like cliff dwellings. It was
that's so cool.
It was really cool.
Was that in Arizona or New Mexico?
It was near New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, the Four Corners.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like,
this is an interesting journey you went on.
Yeah.
LA,
you went like down,
up and down Colorado,
Yeah.
Niagara Falls.
I was like, damn, you went all the way to Niagara Falls?
Yeah, literally. Yep, I was there. And then I got back home in Boston, and I had a job interview.
You had lined up a job.
I had a job interview. I was gonna take the job in LA, and then I was like, well, they have a headquarters in Boston, so let me interview, but for the Boston position.
Oh, wow.
But isn't that so? That is the perfect example of like when something doesn't work out for you, it's okay.
Something
it
else
was not meant for you.
Yep.
Once you close that door, it'll work out.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
No, literally, and I had to tell myself that. And you asked before what happened to the boy, and I didn't realize that. Subconsciously, I
glossed over that.
You're like, I'm over him, son.
We don't name names here to protect the innocence.
Exactly, to protect the innocence or the guilty.
The guilty. We're not. There's no innocence here.
Hey, we didn't break up at that moment. We said, let me go on this trip. You get home, you think about it in a neutral, safe space, and then let's talk again.
Oh, wow.
So it was respectful, and we did check in on the road a couple of times, just to make sure I was safe.
Did you know it was over?
I knew it was over.
Yeah,
I knew it was over. It was honestly, I think it was a way for me to escape. Yeah. It was like, okay, I'll think about it, but it's
I think you actually needed a physical event to happen to leave that relationship, because if you didn't move to LA, you guys would have been in DC, still together, but still something was off.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to go, like you said, it's like you have to go through some shit to reemerge and become a new person.
Yeah, something to really push you off.
Be the therapist over here.
Hey, you know.
It really is a physical moment, especially if you're like back and forth. I don't know if that was your case, but sometimes you do need that, and that's what happened in LA.
Yeah, to shake up the environment that you guys have been
I didn't even
in for
think
so
about
long.
That. Like I could still be in DC
right now. Girl, like we got a lot in the journey we took back, that uncharted journey that brought you here.
Yep.
All unplanned.
What was your biggest lesson? I mean, I think from that happening, because that was so.
What's the timeline?
Story time, really quickly.
Yeah.
Hannah and I, when we were younger, in our
because you guys had known each other for a long time, right?
I'm seeing about the roach dropping.
So real quick story time. Hannah and I, this has happened maybe like twice to you because it happened in New York.
Oh yeah,
but it wasn't the same event.
You're right.
Similar.
It was similar. Yeah. So Hannah and I had this dream of moving to New York, and I wanted to move there after college. We graduated 2011, right?
Yep.
We graduated. We wanted to go to New York. She had a job in the Bronx.
Yes, it was in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
How do you remember that?
And then I was just going to New York. I had no job.
This sounds really
no nothing. And I'm just like saving all my money. Like I was like saving mad money. We weren't making anything. Like how much could you cost? I think I had like $4,000 like saved that I was like,
I'm going
to New York. I'm going to live this dream.
It's a big apple.
Yeah, and you were still looking for, you were like still trying to get into journalism at that point.
I was looking to break into journalism, which was not going to happen in New York. Like you have to start like in a small market. But Hannah and I, we were looking at apartments and we went to, what was it? Washington Heights.
Yep. The Heights.
And we were looking at all these apartments and all of a sudden, I don't know where or who told me, always look in the cabinets.
Oh yeah.
And when we opened the cabinet underneath the sink,
you were like, hold up.
I was like, because it was too good to be true.
Yeah,
but like, I was like, this is so cute. Like the hardwood floors, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And I was looking and I'm like, it looks really fucking clean. Like, this is
Too
really
clean.
too clean right now. Like, it's just weird. So I was just like looking at the corners, like the doors, and then I was like, under the sink. Somebody told me, look under the sink. And I opened it, I looked under the sink, and a roach fell. And I was like,
plop.
and I was like, Hannah, we gotta get out of here. We gotta go. So I ended up like leaving, and I remember crying, calling Hannah. And I was like, Hannah, I can't do this. Like, I can't go to New York. Maybe in another like couple of years, I will be able to live in New York and not be worried about money or whatever, but it's not going to happen now. And then I was like, I'm so sorry. I was going to be your roommate, blah, blah, blah. Hannah calls me like, what, a day?
Yeah,
the day after. And she's like, I left. I couldn't do it. Like, so it was different. It was crazy.
For my own reasons. And
Yeah.
the funny thing too, I was laughing because we were going to move into like, I feel like it was like a 3-bedroom apartment with like 6 women.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like it was like, we were going to convert like a living room.
It was bad.
It was just not.
It was just
like,
a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I remember when your dad said to cut your losses, it reminded me so much of my dad, because I called my dad crying, my little Honda driving down 95, like, I'm gonna just go home.
I know.
Like, just
Feel like a
crying. He's
failure.
like, just come home. He's like, don't worry, honey, like, it's fine, like, don't worry. And I'm like, it's so sad.
Yes.
But I was like, I can't go.
You know, to this day, my parents are like, thank God for Jenny. Because you would be a teacher in the Bronx teaching math. Like, you would still be there.
Yeah.
And I think I realized for me, like, it just wasn't the job for me. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I guess I have left another city before feeling like a failure. It's like, you feel like a failure. Like, you literally feel like, oh man, like.
So now I think the LA was your second lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember when this happened?
Yep.
Like, so what is your lesson? Because it's not going to happen again. Once you learn that second time,
You're not going to repeat that
you're not going to repeat the mistake again. So what do you think is the biggest lesson, and what do you want, like, moving forward? And what helped, like, because this was in 2019.
Yeah.
It's now 2022. It's been 3 years. A lot has happened in 3 years.
Ooh, so much. I mean, I think for me, it really is to listen to yourself and stop ignoring the signs. I think a lot of times you have this vision of like, oh, LA would be so great. Like, imagine us being able to go to
the
like
stream,
like go to Santa Monica on the beach, and I was
Santa
like,
Monica sounds real nice.
I know it does
does.
sound pretty nice, and you know, and the waves, and I mean, she's living that life, so
not exactly, not the LA I was thinking either.
Well, yeah, we'll have a check-in with you in a bit.
No, but yeah, it's interesting how the reality of the situation, it's like what it is instead of like, you know, what you think it could be.
Right. And like, and just really listening to yourself. And it really took, like you said, that physical experience to listen to myself. And that you can get so many great things that can happen out of negative experiences.
Yeah, of course. So many lessons out of that.
Yeah. Like, I really felt like it was one of those, like, you have to hit rock bottom to be able to grow and emerge. And so I moved to Boston. I interviewed for that job. I got the job. And it was a kind of a dream company for me. So that was really great. And it still was like 2 more years of not being 100% happy in my job because it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it gave me the time to really focus on myself.
Yeah.
And then quarantine happened. And good old Q. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was able to move into this apartment.
So you were in this apartment alone by yourself during the
Listen to
lockdown.
this. Actually, this is funny because the last weekend before I moved into this apartment was our WEPA night.
Oh, okay. So Wi-Fi night. Oh, shit.
I'm going to need to pop.
Yeah.
We're going to need more champagne. Hold my glass, please.
Oh, yes.
Someone go into it. And
please pop.
And thank you, whoever.
Okay, so
Jotna, for your maid of honor bottle. We're not finally opening it.
We're having it tonight.
So Huepa night is a term that Puerto Ricans say. So Huepa is a term that Puerto Ricans say, like, a good time. Huepa, like, you know. Yeah.
Huepa.
Just don't poke my eye out.
Don't worry, I'm a professional.
You are a professional. So, when I was in Arizona, every time I came home, I wanted to see the girls. And I'm like, let's have a wepa night. Let's have a wepa night. The
It's
girls
like a
know.
thing we do, yeah.
Yeah, like, the girls know, like, I love Spanish music.
That's actually how our like Boston Housewives chat started.
Yep.
Those
So we started. So we had gone out. I came home. It was right before.
Wepa.
I was like,
Hey. No.
I came home from Phoenix,
Mhm.
and then I had I was like,
We're
hey,
gonna mix.
let's have a reunion. So we called it Wepa Night. So that's what she just mentioned right now. It's the mix for me.
It's the mix
Yeah,
for me.
that was literally our last like shebang.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was so
that was-
scary
it was.
because we had a great night. There was that huge convention.
There was a convention, bitch.
Yeah.
It was
Hey,
right before. It was
Italian,
March
like-
2020.
Yes,
it was March 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the convention people were there. They were foreign, and then that was obviously how the outbreak broke out in Cambridge at a convention. And we're like,
Yes.
"Oh,
What was the convention?
Biogen,
It was
yeah,
Biogen.
and we just
Yeah. I don't
it
think
just
it was that
happened.
one though.
It wasn't. It
different-
was I think it was a different one.
Yeah, thankfully.
but it
'Cause
was
we all
so
would've
scary
had-
because we were freaking out.
Yeah.
'Cause that's when we learned what the hell COVID was.
And then it was funny because it was like all like going crazy here, but I'm living in Arizona and we weren't feeling that at all. So I went back home and I was like, I'm going to go out with my friends over here
Oh,
now.
yeah. We like, and we
And
had
then that
a
was
good
the
time.
last,
It was a
That was
good
the
That
last
was
night.
it. We got our like
Had
dancing.
we known, I would
Had
have
we
waited
known.
a little bit.
Yeah,
I would have definitely.
I would have drank a
I
little
don't
bit
know if I
more.
could have.
No, but I feel like you had a good like. You made, everyone was her friend. And, like there was a really
Oh my
really
God.
drunk guy that like followed us after who
Yeah.
was like
the
he was like,
Yo.
oh yeah, I want to be your best friend.
and then we fought.
And you first you fought for some reason because he was like fuck you and you're like fuck you and then by the end we were
I was
like,
like,
We were sharing French fries.
We were sharing French fries. I was like, what the fuck
are
is
you?
this?
Yeah. We were like, who are you? Get the fuck out of here. We have videos.
We had
of
to
this.
include the videos on
Yeah,
this.
like it's just like, what are you doing? Yeah, so you moved in after Wepa Night.
Yep.
Here.
And after up a night here. That was
Yes, because I was
We were gonna
pre-gaming
come over.
at your mom's house.
yes. Yeah, I was still at
Oh,
my
we were
mom's
all
house.
at-
Yes,
I was,
we were all in
Yeah.
Cambridge.
I was living in the basement for 6 months with my family. No door, guys. Literally a curtain. A curtain.
You guys, cheers to being boomerangs and living in our parents' basement.
Yeah.
You guys,
that's
it's
true.
really,
It's a great
truly
life.
Okay.
It is a great life.
It's okay.
I don't
right?
pay for groceries
Nope.
or rent.
And
You just
get
can't have a door.
You don't get a door, but
It's
you
fine.
like have time to get on your feet again, and you're like surrounded
Honestly,
by
a
love.
blessing, yeah.
You can't have people over like that.
That's a
Unless
whole
you're-
different thing we can get into.
Unless it's you guys, somewhere it's well, but it's fine.
So yeah, basically we were living our best lives.
Yeah, exactly. You are. You are. And we were definitely living our best lives.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I came home back that night and had literally. I think I moved in that day.
You
Moved
did
all my
because
shit in.
you were like, we can help you move.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like,
No, we were paralyzed the next day.
no, there's
Paralyzed.
There's no way. And yeah, I came back here, moved in, and it felt like a fresh beginning. Like it felt like I needed that time with my family in the basement until I was like, I'm ready to go.
Girl,
But
yes.
I did need the time.
Yes.
And then had my own place. And this is a bucket list. Like I've been always wanting to move off of Newberry Street, like in downtown Boston.
Hey, girl.
I
Like
manifested it, babe.
I manifested it. And I think it was literally the Tuesday after. So it was Monday, went to work. I had 13-minute walk to work. Second day, they were like, oh, there's this thing happening. Maybe you should work from home and we're going to see if our systems can handle it. So they didn't
Wow.
tell me. They were like, oh, maybe it'd be 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, everyone thought
That's what we thought.
everyone
Remember?
thought it was like
14 days. It's been
Yeah.
like 2 years.
And here we are.
Going
2
on
years
3.
in.
Yeah. Crazy.
2 months.
So that was, yeah. the
2 years and
beginning.
2 months.
Has it been? It's 2 years and 2 months?
Yeah, March 2022 will
Ooh.
be 2 years.
I'm stressed
Yeah.
just thinking about it.
I know.
Stressed.
Yeah, so I guess I've been here in this apartment for 2 years and 2 months.
It's a cute apartment. I love it.
It's exactly what I need. It's, it's small. It's small. The Boston price is very small,
Yeah.
but it's everything I need. It's my Zen Palace.
Yeah, Zen Palace.
My Wi-Fi was like, "Who is Zen Palace and why are
Why
they
is it
messaging
on my
me?"
phone?
It's like it's me. It's my Wi-Fi.
Do you think that so for yourself, for your own, what's the biggest thing that you struggled with then? Was it?
Yeah, now we're in lockdown. You're completely
you're
alone.
still in lockdown. Yeah.
We have no idea what's happening in the world.
So what was it that, because we all had something that slapped us in the face.
Oh yeah.
Right? In 2020. Something was like, something's wrong.
Well,
Something's
we were
up.
all going through the same thing, the same experience as collective. I'd be interested in knowing, how did you get through that?
Yeah, because I think living alone during quarantine is a whole other beast.
Yes.
Like if I was with my family, in some ways it would have been nice to have that company. Yeah. But yeah, living alone, like you spend time with yourself and you listen to yourself and you focus on I had to find new hobbies.
No distractions.
Like literally it's like just yourself and sometimes you hear the voice and it's like you gotta turn it off sometimes or tell yourself to be nicer to yourself. Yeah. Because I had all the time.
We talked about that in the ego talk.
Yeah.
Naming your ego. You know, just like silencing that voice in the back that is saying bad things.
Yeah. Well.
But also like listening more. It makes sense now, like silencing the ego, but listening to your intuition on hey, there's things that we need to do. Yeah. There's work to be done here.
Yeah. There was no escaping that because there was no more weapon knives. There was no more wine knives. No, nothing to distract you.
I literally threw myself into it.
Yeah.
I really wanted to and I think I had such a new mindset at that point. I had gone through all that shit and it was nice to finally be in my own space again after the LA thing happened. Yeah. And I feel like this is I feel kind of bad saying this, but I feel like I kind of thrived through quarantine.
I think that's okay to admit.
Yeah. It is okay.
I needed
I think it's how you take it too. Yeah. Like you could either say like quarantine.
You made the best out of it.
Yeah, like people, you can either take it into a negative light and be like, quarantine completely fucked me up.
Yep.
Or you can say, yeah, it did fuck me up, but I thrived.
Yeah.
And you thrived because where you are now.
Right. And I had great friends and I remember we had a lot of FaceTime.
Oh my gosh, yes. When our little group came together during quarantine because we were supporting each other.
We were checking in on each other and I remember just calling friends every day, connecting with people. I think the hard part was that my dad has a compromised immune system. So I had to be really careful and I took it super seriously so that I wouldn't ever endanger him. So I think that for me was the hardest part of like, okay, I'm not going to see my family for some time.
Yeah, you were part of the beginning people.
Yeah, you had so many
she went viral. She went viral with her... Like, was it Savage?
It was Savage.
She was so good at it. So good at it.
You could have been a star by now. You could have been.
I should have.
You should have kept going.
TikToker.
I should have kept going, but I did it I think I did 10 takes. It was so it was literally so many takes.
So many takes. Okay, so you mentioned that the little girls. You do it with the little girls.
Yeah, you go with my friends and nieces, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can do it. Let's do this new challenge." And they put on the song, and they do it twice. They're like, "Oh, done. Okay, let's go." And I'm sitting there hours, perfecting my TikTok.
You're like, if I drop it low, I will literally. I'm not coming back up.
No,
my knees. No, they're not like the same.
And no, they're not.
It ain't gonna happen. Sorry.
That does remind me of the time that I injured myself dancing in my living room alone.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, do you remember? I said, I landed on my leg and it hurts, and it was literally hurt for 2 weeks. But I digress. Millennials on TikTok.
Yeah. So you learned how to play the ukulele.
Yes.
You went viral on TikTok. Dancing.
I did the banana baking bread too.
Everyone baked bread.
You know what? I will say that I did not bake bread.
Oh.
She's not you're
special.
I baked
brownie
cookies
baker
and brownies. I made a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I want to get into
for my friends.
You did.
That were ungrateful.
I want the brownies all the time.
I know. I want to go home and bake some cookies now that you talk about it. No, I wanted to ask you about when did it click for you to start digging deeper into your journey of self-care and healing and things like that, because we talked about having a lot of time to kind of listen to those voices or kind of deal with them. And how did you do that?
So I had mentioned that I got the new job. I finally had more time on my hands.
That's good.
And I remember thinking, part of me was like, oh my God, this is career suicide. I got to keep going. And working hard. And then one of my friends, Natasha, she was saying, hey, this is the time for you to really focus on you. You should this is a plus. This is a blessing.
Take the time.
Take the time. And I did, and I think I started with personal training, and I started just like going hard in the gym. And I had like, I've always had a love for lifting, but I had never worked with a personal trainer before. So it was kind of a treat for me. And I was like, you know what? It's an investment in me. I'm going to pay the money and do it. And then I think it was the month or two before the pandemic happened, I started therapy. And I had always been a great advocate of therapy, working with students and saying like, it's good to talk. Doesn't mean you're broken. It's just really, it's a good practice to talk to someone. It's a good tool. And it's not the only tool, but it's a great tool. And I started it, and it's just been such a beautiful journey. And I still do therapy now. And I think I was having the hard conversations and really trying to dissect what led me to that point and how I was feeling. And I think I also got better just talking to myself, like that, to the inner voice, because I was like practicing doing it out loud.
Talking to yourself nicely.
So you said that you started therapy before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's funny because I did too.
Oh.
Yeah. So I started therapy in January 2020.
Oh,
and it was because I needed to figure things out.
I started
I think
I started January 2020.
Do you think that helped you better navigate the pandemic when it did hit? Because I know that a lot of people were struggling. Everybody was struggling during the pandemic because they didn't have that outlet, like, you know, to release things. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of therapists, they saw their, you know, people calling. Yeah. Like,
it was hard.
wanting to
you know how
therapy.
hard it was to find a therapist?
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Like 20 emails.
Wow. Yeah, it's very difficult. So I found it as a blessing because I was still going, and my therapist was still seeing people face to face. We were just spread out.
Because I did it online actually.
Yeah, we were just spread out. And then if she was sick or if I was sick, like I'd just be like, hey, we can't do it today or whatever. So that's fine. But do you think that helped you better navigate than if you wouldn't have had a therapist and went into the pandemic?
Trying to do it alone.
100%.
Trying to do it alone?
100%. I think it did help that I had an established relationship with her before the pandemic because we had met in person. So then when we started meeting online, it didn't feel as weird.
Yeah.
But I cherish that 1 hour still to this day, and I have it on my calendar. My boss has it. Hannah's in therapy. Like I told my boss, I was like, you can't bother me for this hour.
Yeah.
Because I need it. It's my time. And it completely, I think, helped me just navigate such an unprecedented time. Like it was. I know I've had some friends that really, really struggled and scary stuff. And I think being able to have a person to talk to that is not like your friend. Because sometimes you're like, I love you guys, but I don't want to burden you, or like you know, use your ear too much. So it's just nice to have that outlet.
What emotion did you feel most during the pandemic? Or we're still in the pandemic, but I mean when we were really in quarantine. What emotion did you feel the most?
That's hard because I feel like for me it's like
you're like
all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
So emotional. What an emotional.
Like we're living history and we don't know what's gonna happen. I remember there was a moment when I was talking to my dad and he was like, oh, like the handshake is dead. Yeah, he was like the handshake, hugging, like that's like no, that's not gonna exist anymore.
Yeah, it's true. But then you think about it, like why did we shake hands? Where did that come from?
You're like, I'm good.
I love shaking hands and hugging.
It's so funny.
I'm a hugger.
I am too, yeah. I mean, hugs are still around because I think that's just like a comfort thing, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm definitely a hugger. Like, I love hugging my people, my friends, my family.
Yeah, I think shaking hands is just like, I honor your time, you know, in a professional
it's
setting.
Because
I'm not going to freaking hug my boss.
Yeah, no.
I don't even think I shook. I think I shook my boss's hand, my previous boss, once. That was when I first met him.
I don't think I ever shook anyone's hand.
I'm trying to think. Maybe at the interview. Maybe it's like at the interview you shake hands.
I shake everybody's hand.
But like not when you like show up at work. Like
for sure. Yeah. But for me, it's different. Like because I'm a journalist. Like you know, when you meet someone, you shake their hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's. But
did you ever not shake someone's hand during the pandemic and felt bad?
Yes,
Like,
and I
when
would
you had
say it to
stop
them.
hugging them.
And then I would say it to them like, hey, like, you can't shake your hand. And they people were totally understanding, like, about it. We were like 6 feet apart. Like,
Yeah.
it was so whack.
I remember.
Shit was whack as fuck.
Yeah, I
That shit
remember
was
when
whack,
we were
yeah.
still in the office and we had hired a new person. Like, he started the week of or something. So like he was going around the office and getting introduced, and he was definitely keeping his distance.
Yeah.
And you know, like you said, when you meet someone, you like shake out, but he was literally like, no elbows, and we're all like, okay, weirdo.
Yeah. So it's funny because
And now we're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to an interview, and I remember when I was like, I don't know what the, like, you know, if you want me to shake your hand
I know,
or
right?
not.
It's like you have to ask now.
And she was like,
hug? Do we
no,
shake?
like, she was like, oh,
Let's not, yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Like, very, like, standoffish. But I got it. Like, I'm like, okay, she
Yeah.
takes it seriously.
I
I
think
do too, but, like, I'll still shake someone's hand.
the new handshake now is the Zoom bye. Like, I don't know if you for all you who work remote, like 24/7. Yeah, it's like I cannot shake it now.
Shit.
Whenever I leave a meeting, I'm like, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, everyone does it though.
Yeah, I guess we're in
Because
that.
we need another way to like express that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Although
sure.
The greeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you've done such a great job.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful job. Like,
It's
navigating the whole pandemic
Yeah.
and coming out through the other side, like, you know, smarter,
I mean,
stronger.
Yeah.
We're
Wiser.
still there too. We're still.
No one
like,
said
new
it's
phase.
over. But
Oh yeah, I recovered from COVID, guys. I had COVID like a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Ooh. I know. Don't worry, I'm good. I'm immune. You're like, no handshakes or touches.
I was actually the scary COVID. Like, I went,
Yeah.
I
You
got,
had COVID earlier.
I had
You did
COVID.
have
I got
before the
COVID.
vaccine and everything like that, right?
in
Before the
2020 'cause
vaccine.
I went to a party. I threw a party, and yeah, we all
the
got
truth
COVID.
comes out.
Yeah, it was never a lie.
She said,
And then my job gave me a warning letter. Like, I
did they really give you a warning letter?
Yeah.
They should be like,
They
I
gave
hope you're
everybody
okay. I hope you're okay.
But
like,
you were partying with all your coworkers.
So, and I should not get a warning letter. I should not get a
No, you
warning
shouldn't.
letter.
No.
they should have been there to
Governor
support you.
Ducey did not shut down the state of Arizona when I threw that party.
Not once did he ever shut the state down.
So let's just say that. He did shut it down, but he shut it. He opened it as quick as
he could.
he shut it down.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah, man. We're here.
Yeah.
We're healthy. And that's something that I feel like going into 2022,
Mm-hmm.
especially after having COVID, is wanting to make sure my health is on point.
Yeah.
So important.
So, like, you don't realize how much you take for granted, like losing your smell and taste. I remember when I was like, I started kind of panicking, and Jenny could tell, and I was like, guys, I have COVID. I lost my taste and smell, and then you just texted me privately. You're like, hey, if you ever need anything, just give me a call. Like, I'm here, and I think I called you right away.
Yeah,
I was
you
like about to
FaceTimed me,
cry, and you're like, it's gonna be okay.
I knew she had anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
you could just tell. And I
Yeah.
was like, hey, like,
You're like, I've been there.
yeah, it's good. And that shit sucks, though.
Yeah.
Not
It
being able to taste and smell, it's really a very...
It's a mind fuck.
It's a mind fuck.
Yeah, that's for me when it became real. When I lost my loss of whatever smell and taste.
Like, I know it's salty. I know it's sweet.
Yeah.
I know, you know what I mean? I know it's sugary, like, and all of that, but it's like, I can't taste what makes it so good.
As a foodie, it's
I
like,
would
yeah,
die.
what's the point
Yeah,
of
I
eating?
would not.
Yeah,
What's the point of
What's
eating?
the point? What is the point?
It was
Yeah.
bad. It was bad. But
Well, wow, yeah. That was just a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
right into 2022. We are far from out of it.
I recovered before 2022, which is great. Going
Yeah.
into 22,
The
but
clean slate.
yeah, clean slate and taking all of my senses not for granted. There we go. Like, I was like, okay, well, at least I have my sight and I have my like hearing and like,
yeah,
because when you lose your senses, you're like, wow,
You
this
appreciate
is-
all the other ones.
exactly.
as long as you can hear, right? It's like, okay, that's the worst things that can happen.
Yes, no, I'm relieved that you all you both had like more mild symptoms.
You haven't had it yet?
No, girl.
Oh, woof.
I'm out here surviving.
She's surviving.
One of the last
she knows
few
of. She knows of.
that I know of.
There have been antibodies test though.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of times where I felt a little sick, but they were like one day things, and it was just weird. Like you never know these days.
Yeah.
And especially the time we are right now. It's like cold, flus. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, how do we did do an episode on, since we're on 2022, on our intentions. And Jenny and I talked about this kind of extensively in that episode, but like, we don't set resolutions. You know, those are kind of hard to maintain, but we set intentions. So do you have any intentions for 2022?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And actually, I just want to give both of you all a shout out for being my spiritual guides.
Hey.
And
We love you.
yeah, like I just was hearing both of your experiences with how you've been so intentional with crystals and thinking about the new moon and how you can like start fresh and think about what you want to leave behind and what you want to bring to that next new moon. I think for me, for 2022, I'm a big people pleaser. And I think that's part of the reason why I ended up in LA. I like let myself get there because I couldn't say no, and I wasn't listening to myself, and I was
had no boundaries.
I had no boundaries, and I was listening.
Say no. Saying no is part of boundaries.
Yeah,
just say no.
Say no.
Say no, y'all.
Say no to the shit you don't like.
So that's my intention: is not to say no, and to
have boundaries.
To have boundaries, and to listen to myself, and not really care so much about what other people.
Yes, make yourself the priority. Yeah, check in with yourself more. Make yourself the priority. Does this feel good? Does this feel right? Is this what I want to do? Girl, I think we all had to learn that. I definitely did. I had to learn that last year. It was a huge lesson for me too. Mm-hmm. But here we are though. Once you get to the other side, it's like so good
Better
to say no.
Because of it.
Yeah, for sure.
There will be times when you will fight
tested.
yourself. Where you'll fight yourself, but I think that's just like, for me, like I'm not so much of a people pleaser, but I do have a hard time saying no to some things. Yeah. But as long as you know what is this giving me, like something like, and not in like, am I getting something from it? Not that way. Is this fulfilling me? Am I saying like yes to something that's going to make me happy?
Yeah.
Not to make them happy.
Yeah, is this something I want to do?
Something that I want to do, you know? Or is this something that I'll like regret not doing? Like, you know, certain things like that.
And you can tell the people who've been on that journey because they'll respect that.
Yeah.
You're like the people,
peer pressure.
Exactly. Yeah. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll respect like whatever decision you make. The people like I feel like your true friends and like the people who have gone through their journey and their awakening, they'll respect it.
Oh yeah.
And so I respect both of you.
Aww.
Very much.
Here's the boundaries in 2022.
For real. May we work on them.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a huge lesson. It's like, we've been through so many lessons. Yeah. I think 2022 is the year of the real test.
Yes.
Did you actually learn, though?
Put it to practice.
You have to practice
it.
So I think that's going to be the huge test for this year.
I like it.
I'm excited, though.
Yeah.
I think it's like Mario Kart. It's like, let's level up.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm ready to collect these coins.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the coins. And level up. It's right. It's true. Until we hit the boss level, right?
Boss level.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we are proud of you, and we're so happy that you came on our podcast. And I hope that all of you guys enjoyed the time that we spent with Hannah.
Yes.
And her journey. And maybe you guys, some of this resonated with you guys. Maybe it didn't, or maybe you're like, oh, wait, I'm going through something like that that's similar. So we just want to thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, and make sure that you check on your friends as well, because you never know who's going through something.
Yeah,
and all it takes is, just a quick text, a call, whatever you can do to just make it seem like they feel seen and heard. So yes, thank you again.
Of course.
Especially those strong friends.
The strong friends the most.
The strong friends the most. Because they don't be that strong. Right. They be crying.
I was like, that sounds familiar.
They be crying by themselves.
Like taking care of everyone else.
Exactly.
Like, oh, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Yeah.
And then like legit crying.
So yeah, good points. I think those are good takeaways. Check in with yourself and check in with your friends.
Exactly.
All about it.
So thank you guys so much. You guys know the deal. Please, please, please go and like us on all social media platforms.
We did.
And make sure you like and subscribe
Check.
here on YouTube. All right. Until next time. I don't have any more.
Oh. It was a good show then.
Oh, shoot. My bad.
The champagne was a great addition.
Right?
Champs, yeah.
I think I'm a little nice
Ooh,
right now.
I know.
We
It's
should
like
do a nighttime, a night version. It's like
Right?
coffee and champagne.
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 It's after hours.
After hours. That's what I mean.
Right?
Oh,
my That's
After hours. We should call it after hours.